Hi everybody, this is Boogass Reviews, and today I'm going to be doing a review on the brand new McFarlane Toys Elite Edition Doom the Dark Ages Doomslayer figure. So before we take a look at the Doomslayer, let's go ahead and take a look at all of the accessories that he comes with. So first up, he comes with your standard McFarlane base. This time it says Doom, and surprisingly he stands pretty well on his own despite being a really bulky figure. Up next you get his data file, really cool shot of Doomslayer right there. And if you want to read that, go ahead and pause that now. I also did get 300 elite points with this, and I still can't redeem them, so hopefully McFarlane fixes that, because that makes 2 of these elite figures that I have now with points that I can't redeem. Up next, he comes with a right fisted hand and left open hand. The left open hand is what I use to cradle all of his weapons with. Up next, he comes with accessory holding hands. Up next, he comes with his combat shotgun. And this looks really good. It's cast in this gunmetal color with some touches of brown painted over top of it. And I love the texturing that it has all over it. That is very awesome. Up next, he comes with his soul shield. And this is detailed very nicely. I love all the sculpted texturing you get. The yellow paint looks pretty good till you get to these 2 segments right here. You can see that the yellow did not make it on there very well. But everything else is painted really nicely. You get this green color here and a black wash over top of the whole thing. And they even did a black wash on the inside of the shield. And that brings the detailing out very well. He actually has a pretty tight grip on it with that accessory holding hand. Up next, he comes with his flail. And this looks very awesome. I especially love that they used real chain for it. That looks really good. And I actually did add some wire to this, that way it can be posed around for pictures and stuff. I think that makes weapons with chains look a lot more awesome. I don't think any company actually does that, but anytime a figure comes with a weapon like this, I'd love to add wire to it, that way it can be posed around. And finally, he comes with what I think is the coolest weapon from the game, the pulverizer. This has such intricate sculpt detailing to it. It's cast in gunmetal just like his other weapons. And I like that you can actually see the sculpt and paint detail on all of these skulls for the ammo right there. I love that paint variation you get. I think it's cast in this orange color and the red is painted over top of it. But yeah, even the skulls on this are detailed really nicely. That looks really awesome. And he can hold the weapon very well. One thing that I love about this Doomslayer figure is he can actually hold all of his weapons in both of his hands. That's something that none of the previous Doom figures could do. The only thing the previous Doom figures could do is really just a vanilla pose. So yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised at the articulation on this, and I'm happy that he can do this. You know, he looks so much cooler not being in a vanilla pose like my previous Doomslayer figures. So now, let's go ahead and take a look at his head sculpt. So taking a look at this head sculpt, McFarlane Toys did a very awesome job at sculpting and painting this. I love all the paint variation you get on the helmet. The silver on just the whole figure stands out, and you get a nice black wash over top of that brings the details out really nicely, and you also get a continued black wash over top of the green parts of the helmet too. You get these spikes on top, and they're actually pretty sharp. I was surprised by that. And the visor itself is done in this metallic green color. This is just a very awesome and detailed head sculpt. Another thing that I love about this figure is he has a faux fur cape. And man, that looks really awesome. That looks so much better than a sculpted cape would. I am really glad they used faux fur for this. You get some really awesome details on all of his armor right here. On all of his armor, you get washes. There's not a single part of his armor that doesn't have washes to it. So you have this black wash that brings the detailing out really well, like around these rivets right here and the sculpt of the armor, as well as some silver paint and touches of red. And that looks really awesome. You get that quilted texturing underneath his armor there, that's also brought out by that really nice black wash. It is just really detailed. The black wash really brings out the panel lining on the armor. I really thought that his articulation would be limited with the way these shoulder pads are attached. They're actually attached right here. I do think it would have been better to have them on ball joints, but you can actually move his shoulders out all the way, and it doesn't feel like they're going to rip or anything. So yeah, I was afraid of the articulation being hindered because of that, but it's not. He also has some really awesome sculpt detail to his arms. You can see the veins that they sculpted on there, as well as the arm hair, and then a brown wash to bring the detailing out, like the veins and the arm hair. And that looks really good. The gloves are detailed really nicely. I'm just really amazed by the paint variation you get on this. Just like with Lilith, the paint variation on this is so much better than a regular release. That black wash is amazing. It brings all of the detailing out so well, like all the sculpted parts there on the hand, and even the chainmail right here. I think the chainmail is actually cast in black and they painted the silver over top of it, but all of those intricate details are brought out nicely by that really awesome paint work. You get his shotgun shells right here on the belt, as well as a real chain here. Another thing that, just like with Lilith, I feel like this is an older Spawn figure, with all the detailing we get, the real chains. It just looks amazing. He has some really awesome sculpt detail to his loincloth as well. I like how you can see the sculpted stitches right here, and they even did a dry brushing of light brown over top of that. And that looks really good. And they also painted that on the back as well. So yeah, all of the chainmail's painted very intricately here on the back. And even just the back of his armor is detailed really nicely. You get some more of that black wash as well as some silver details. That is sculpted and painted so well. You get his shoulder cannon, which you can pop this off. And I will say, I am a bit disappointed in this shoulder cannon, and that's mainly because it's not quite as articulated as the previous Doom figures. So it just swivels side to side on his back, and I think this is a ball joint up here. No, it might not be. I think it just swivels side to side. So I do wish they would have put some articulation right here, and maybe a ball joint up here. That way it could be articulated better. I mean, it's detailed really nicely, and it has a black wash too. But yeah, I wish it would have been a little more articulated, instead of just being pre-posed like that. You get some more of that quilted texturing right here. They painted all of the straps and the buckles here on the back of his thigh armor. I wish they would have painted the joints right here dark brown to match up with that, but that's a small gripe. And the boots are also detailed really well. They're cast in brown with that continued black wash over top of it, and some detailed silver lines right here. I feel like the silver lines and the spikes get a little bit kind of haphazardly put on. I will say they're painted a little bit better on the left side, but here on the right side you can see where some of the paint missed its mark. And I think the black wash, they just went way too heavy right here on the back of his right boot. It doesn't look bad from the side, but man, compared to the left side, you can tell how concentrated that black wash is right there. There is the front, and I think the lines came out pretty clean right here. The silver stands out really well. On the bottom of his left boot, you don't get any black wash. You do on the right, but none on the left. They also sculpted the bottoms of his boots really well. I like how they sculpted all of that tread right there. I also forgot to mention that this figure does not use ball joints on the ankles or the wrists. They're just your regular swivels like most companies use. So I do feel like it's kind of odd that they did that. Which, honestly, the articulation is not as hindered as I thought it would be. There's a couple points that it's hindered at, but it's not where I thought it would be. So now, let's go ahead and go over his articulation. So he has a ball jointed neck that can look up just about all the way. He can look down all the way. He can move his head side to side and around very nicely. He has a shoulder cannon that can move up and down very slightly, and at the top it really doesn't move side to side. I think it's a straight peg. I don't think it's a ball joint, which is why it's hindered like that. He has shoulders that can move out just about all the way. Like I said, I was really surprised that the shoulder pads aren't more hindered. He doesn't have any butterfly joints. Lilith didn't either. He has single jointed elbows that can only bend in that far. They can move side to side. It is a bit of a crunchy joint, but it does move side to side. As I said, he has enough articulation that you can actually get him holding his weapons in both hands. He has wrist swivels that move side to side and up and down very nicely. Now here's where his articulation is really hindered. He has, let's move that. He has a ball jointed diaphragm and waist that can move back very slightly. He can crunch forward very slightly. The side to side movement is completely hindered up here at the diaphragm and down here at the waist. So yeah, I think that's the biggest drawback of this figure, is the diaphragm and waist joints are really hindered. He has hips that can just about do a complete split. He can kick forward really nicely. He can kick back pretty well. He has a very nice thigh swivel. You can hear the noise that makes though. He has single jointed knees that can bend back that far. They also move side to side. And he has ankles that can move down just a little bit, up just a little bit, and rock very slightly. So now, let's do some size comparisons. So first up here he is next to the very first Doomslayer figure that I bought, the bronze Doomslayer. And this figure has some phenomenal sculpt detail to it, but the articulation is abysmal. The only thing you can get him doing is the pose that I have him in now. So I am really happy that this new Doomslayer figure has some great articulation. It does have a couple drawbacks to it, but even with the drawbacks, it still leagues better than, well, any of the past Doom figures from McFarlane. Here he is next to the Doomicorn figure, which is one of my favorite Doom figures in my collection. It's just a really absurd design, and I love that about it. Here he is next to the Ember Skin Doomslayer. And finally here he is next to the Platinum Doom Marauder figure. And I honestly hope that we get some enemy figures from Doom the Dark Ages, but I honestly don't see that happening. You know, Doomslayer himself is already $50, and getting people to pay that for just him is kind of pushing it. I don't see any way that people would pay that much for just the enemies. You know, for the start of the series, yes, but for the enemies, no. So while I do think it would be cool to have some figures of the enemies from the game, I don't really see that happening. So overall, I would highly recommend picking this up if you can find it. I do know it is a bit pricey, but I honestly do think it's worth it. I mean, the paint detail on this alone is so much better than a regular McFarlane release. All of the washes and paint variation you get on this figure just really make the sculpt pop. You also get real chains, which I love, the real chain there on the hip and on the flail, and you get the faux fur cape, which I think looks fantastic. That looks so much better than if they would have just put a sculpted cape on there. And honestly, the articulation is a lot better than I thought it would be. It is hindered in a couple spots like the ball jointed diaphragm and the waist, but I really haven't had any problem posing him around. I really thought the elbow and the shoulder articulation would be hindered, but it's not. I've actually had a lot of fun posing him around, so I'm pleasantly surprised with that. So yeah, if you can find this, then I would definitely recommend picking it up. I actually found this one at Walmart. I think it's also popping up at GameStop stores, but I think it's more plentiful at Walmart, so keep an eye out for him there if you're looking for one. So, that's my review. If you like this review, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.